Hello and namaste. In my early 20s, I came across Plato's Cupness of the Cup. Richard Feynman, the physicist, described a bird rather unusually. A pigeon is called a pigeon in English, parewa in Nepali, and kabutar in Hindi. Now these are all different names to signify the same thing. So unless and until you have a clear understanding of the concept or the essence of the pigeon, using words will not make one understand what a pigeon really is. So that is what Plato meant by the cupness of the cup. To understand cup truly, it is to understand it in a deeper way, to go beyond the name and then understand cup in its truest nature. So that was Plato, and that really set precedent on my young impressionable mind. Now, many years later, I came across the great Indian scholar who was a scholar in Nalanda University in Pataliputra, now Patna, the great Nagarjuna. However, Nagarjuna was about understanding the nature of reality. Nagarjuna's emptiness is not easy to understand. It takes some time, to say the least. Nagarjuna says that things are inherently empty, or in other words, everything is not or does not originate independently. To explain that further, I would like to use the example of a rose pictured here. Now, if you look at the rose, the entire plant consists of many components. There is a pot that holds the soil, the root that we don't see, the stem, the leaves, the thorns, and then the flower. So if any of those components is absent, then the rest cannot exist. So Nagarjuna is trying to say that the rose does not exist independently of the things that cause the rose to exist. So Plato and Nagarjuna are on complete opposite spectrums. Plato was about the conceptual understanding, the roseness of the rose, as for Nagarjuna was understanding the nature of reality. So that's quite important. To explain that further, the rose exists only when the conditions for the rose to exist is sufficient. For example, the seer, the sense perceptions should see the rose. The soil, the sunlight, the water, everything contributes to the making of the rose. So that's why rose cannot exist independent of all the factors that make it what it is. And this was Nagarjuna's great insight. Now I would like to connect the concept of the rose with that of the social theorist Herbert Spencer's organism of the society, or the organic model of the society. He said that different components of the society work in harmony to keep the society alive, to give continuity to the society, and for the society to function. Our structural functionalist perspective. Now, the distinction between Nagarjuna and Herbert Spencer is, Herbert Spencer merely said that there is an interconnectedness among different components that build the society. However, Nagarjuna says no component is independent of other components. Now let me take the analogy of the rose. If you look at the rose and compare it to the society, the rose, and if you look at it from the antithesis or the conflict perspective, it seems that the rose is a product or complements or is in the equation along with the leaves, the thorns, the root, the pot. So the point that I'm trying to say is, and the problem with society is, we resent. I think we've started resenting that which is different to us. There is a video. Now, if I were to take one part of the rose off, then what remains of the plant? And if I take the other one off as well, then what remains? It's only the plant without the rose. And conflict theory, or the Marxist way of thinking, or the narrative of universities in social science departments, is that anything that alludes to a hierarchy is shunned upon. But it is important to understand that hierarchy is merely order. Now, if the thorns and the leaves work together to get rid of the rose, they are in fact getting rid of themselves, because the plant is missing an essential part of what it is. And similarly, if the rose works to get rid of the thorns, the soil, or the leaves, then the rose itself cannot exist. So the point that I'm trying to say is, the thorn should be comfortable in what it is and contribute to the plant, and the rose should be comfortable in what it is and contribute to the plant. But the nature of the mind, now here is where anthropology and conflict theory comes to play. The nature of mind is such that the normal disposition of the average human being compares and is in a state of discontent. So when the leaves conspire with other leaves, that they are different to the flower, and that the flower is at the top and then attracts a little bit of attention and is like the protagonist of the rose concept, then that is how society dysfunction registers. To sum it up, everything is contributing to a common cause, and in the process there are concepts that are made, and different components are made to feel better or worse off, and that is how conflict begins. And it is especially true in the animal kingdom, and especially with us human beings. So this is something to be careful about. You see, it is very difficult to give credit to that which is high, or to accept the natural order of things. But there is this implicit order, whether we like it or not. And despite the order, despite the rose flower having more commercial value than the thorn and the leaves, it is a joint effort, and that we all need to value our particular roles in this grand tapestry of reality. So what happens is, when we try to take off an important component of a system, then the entire system fails. So that's what I'm trying to say. Have a great evening.